Julia has over 10 years of experience working with children diagnosed with autism in the home, community, and clinical settings. Her research interests include evaluating social skill interventions, evaluating progressive approaches to behavioral interventions, and comparing different teaching methodologies for individuals diagnosed with autism. Julia has published over 50 peer-reviewed research articles, book chapters, and books, and has presented at national and international conferences. We are so excited to welcome her to the show. Julia, are you there? I'm going to tell you while we get her all situated and in here that normally we do jargon of the day first and then we welcome the guests, but we made a determination because we were doing this new jargon term today that we've never done before, progressive ABA, and we were having the person who is really we need to go to for the definition. That we invited Julia to be here to do jargon of the day with us. And she's got, and we told her, there's Julia. Hi, Julia. Can I hear you say something?
Yay.
Yay. I was just about to call you. Okay. So Julia, let's everybody re-welcome Julia.
Hello.
From the Autism Partnership Foundation. And hopefully we'll be able to see, there you are. We can see you and hear you now. It's remarkable how technology works. Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's so wonderful. And Julia, I'm going to say this and then everybody can criticize me for it, but I have dresses that are, I'm sure, are older than you. And here you are, an expert in all of these things. I'm a little overwhelmed and wowed because what's great is you're so young, you're going to be around for a while.
Well, I feel the same about you. You have been one of my all-time favorite presentations from the Autism Conference back in Miami. It was lovely seeing you again this year on the parent panel. And I'm so excited to have you at our conference in just next month on the parent panel as well. So, and I'm so impressed by everything you listed earlier. My goodness, you are busy.
Yeah, well, we are busy, but we're so glad to be doing things with you. And I said this to Justin Leaf, I feel a little ridiculous being on your poster for this conference because, first of all, it's 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧. How much do I love him? But then you have autism expert after autism expert after autism. And I feel like one of these things doesn't belong, and it's me. But I'm okay. I'm coming. I want to play in the sandbox, right?
But it's an incredible day. But
it's an incredible day. You guys have an incredible lineup. We're going to go over that in just a second. But Julia, right now, I want to invite you to do jargon of the day with me.
Sounds great.
Okay.
And you're also welcome to make fun of the definition. Don't hold back.
Oh, all right. There's not that much to make fun of. There really isn't. It's just, and the only reason why I make fun of it is because when the terms are so not accessible for those of us who don't already have the degree in it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But yours isn't that bad. So first, for people who don't know, when we do jargon of the day, first we give you the actual definition. Sometimes I make fun of it. Then we give you a working definition, and usually we give you like a real life example. So right now, let's go. So our term today is progressive ABA. And I've heard this bandied about a little bit, especially I was just at the ABAI Autism Conference, and I heard people talking about this. Didn't really know what it was. So let's take a look, first of all, 𝗏𝗏, at our actual, there it is, progressive ABA, because you guys are going to be seeing more of this. Let's take a look at what our actual definition is. Would you like to read that for us, Julia?
Sure, I would love to.
Okay.
So, progressive ABA is a progressive approach to applied behavior analysis, and it's one that is characterized by structured flexibility in that the behavior analyst has a systematic plan, but also has the flexibility to alter their plan based on in-the-moment assessment of the context and the learner with whom they're working. And as a result, the main source of stimulus control for the behavior analyst's behavior is the learner's behavior and the context as opposed to a protocol.
Okay. Now, you know, it's a little wordy. I'm not going to make too much fun here. It's a little wordy. I think, because I think we can say this in a more concise way. But it's not horrible. It's not filled. I applaud you in that it's not filled with a whole bunch of jargon that I don't know what it is. So
I'll take it. That's good.
This is a pretty good definition. But let's move on now to our first working definition. And let's put that up on the screen, 𝗏𝗏, and I'm going to have you read this, Julia.
Okay, so a little easier working definition, less kind of long, is an approach that is focused on being responsive to the child's behavior and the environment so that the interventionist has the flexibility to make changes on a moment-by-moment basis.
Which is a pretty good definition. And, you know, I like that. But I love that one of the things that I said to you was, you know, we try to put it on a level where if mom and dad don't even know what ABA is, like, you know, forget saying progressive ABA, I don't know what ABA is. And so you gave us a third definition. Do we have that one, 𝗏𝗏? Can you put that up for us? The third one? And Julia, I know you've got it there. Why don't you go ahead and read?
I do. Yeah, so ultimately it's just a way of teaching that is responsive to the learner and is constantly changing. So the way you're teaching is constantly changing based on how the learner is progressing, what they're learning, in order to ensure that they're making the most progress possible.
Okay. And so help me, because part of what I read into this is that this is individual specific. There's no way that you can do a cookie cutter and say that you're doing progressive ABA.
That's absolutely correct. So I think for an example, I think commonly in the field of applied behavior analysis, we're moving, or what I see often is that a lot of times interventionists, RBT level interventionists are given just a protocol, and sometimes that protocol doesn't deviate from child to child, and it's kind of the same way you would implement the program across everybody. And I would say that's the opposite of progressive ABA, in which, yes, there's a guideline, there's a plan, you might have some idea of what you're going to teach and how you're going to teach it, but every decision you make is responding based on what the learner is doing in the moment and all sorts of environmental variables as well. So the prompting method you're going to use, the stimuli you're going to use, the way you're going to teach is all going to change based on that learner in the moment.
Yeah. I love this. I absolutely love this, because I think that this is an incredible benchmark because we talk all the time here about quality ABA.
Yes.
That it's something that's really important to me, because I believe that my child had quality ABA and he had it at the right intensity. And I find that I try to preach here and say, you know, that it's important that you get good quality ABA, but that it's also important that you get it in the right intensity. And over the years, and we've been doing this for 12 years, and over the years, people have written in, whether they be the actual individual themselves that received ABA that wasn't quality ABA, that wasn't progressive ABA, and they'll say ABA is bad, you know, and they have horror stories.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly wanting to say to those people, I hear what you're saying, and I'm very sorry that that happened to you, but I'm trying to be on the side of making sure that that doesn't happen to somebody else. But let's not throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. Let's, you know, the principles of ABA are really good when applied in the right way. And I feel like this is an important litmus test, that if you are not doing this, then you aren't doing quality ABA.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think we use the term quality ABA a lot. Good teaching, ultimately, that would probably be the easiest definition. It's just ultimately good teaching. And this isn't anything new. And I think what your son received, your child received, it was probably progressive ABA in the way we would talk about it. But over time, we have seen a shift kind of away from an interventionist using their clinical judgment, using their analysis skills to change the intervention and individualize it to each learner. And we've kind of seen that shift over time. And I think it's time for the field to move back in a way, move back to really individualizing each learner, having really highly skilled and well-trained interventionists instead of just 40 hours before they start working with a child. I think it's time to kind of go back in a way and also keep progressing as our science, you know, evolves, but really go back to good teaching, quality teaching, and being responsive to the learner.
And I say amen to that. And I am so grateful to the Autism Partnership Foundation, because you not only have identified this issue and said, you know, here is this thing that you should be doing, and if you're not, we're not aligned with this, but you also, Autism Partnership Foundation has made the training available and free. Nobody else has done that. No one else has done that.
We have a free 40-hour RBT training in which we go above the task list, we say. So it is actually probably a little longer than 40 hours as well. But we cover content above the task list, but we'll say throughout that this 40 hours of didactic training is not enough for you to know everything you need to know to work with a child diagnosed with autism. You're not going to be a good teacher when you're done with this training, but it is offered for free so people can receive their RBT certification. We also have a 10-hour or 8-hour supervision training for once people receive their BCBA and need to get their supervision CEUs. We have that one for free on our website as well. So we do offer quite a bit of free trainings.
And this leads me to, as I was saying your name and saying all the letters after your name, you have MS, BCBA, and then you have 𝗃𝗵𝗄𝗏. So I'm going to guess what that is, but I don't want to guess. I want you to tell us what that means and how you got that.
Sure. So that last one is the Certified Progressive Behavior Analyst Autism Professional. And that is a new certification that was created by the Progressive Behavior Analysis Autism Council. And that is the first one they created, and it's specific to progressive ABA, and it's specific to working with individuals with autism. Right now, currently in the field, BCBA is the most common acronym you'll see, and that certification is not specific to working with children or individuals with a diagnosis of autism, and we know that that's a large part of behavior analysis, but you actually need to know nothing or have no background in autism to receive a BCBA. With this certification, it is specific to progressive ABA and covers content related to a diagnosis of autism, so you need that background as well. And it's also specific to professionals in the field that are looking to disseminate progressive behavior analysis and are educators and have quite a bit of experience as well. So you need at least 10,000 hours of experience to even sit to become a CP/BA/AP. But that's just the first certification. We are in the process of creating 2 more, which is the Autism Supervisor and the Autism Interventionist. And what makes those really unique is that not only do you need to pass a written test or multiple choice test, an exam, but you also will have to do a performance-based component. So you will need to show that you can actually supervise individuals and you can train them. And if you're at the interventionist level, you will need to also demonstrate that you can implement a progressive approach to ABA. So we're really excited about those 2 components of our certifications.
And where would people need to go to find out more and potentially sign up to get these certifications?
Yeah, the website is progressivebehavioranalyst.org or pbaac.org. And you can also go to the Autism Partnership Foundation website. Either one will kind of send you that way as well.
Okay, because it's so hard to explain to people when they're new to ABA that you got to have a BCBA. Your insurance isn't going to pay for any treatment that's done if it's not being supervised by a BCBA, but all BCBAs are not equal and even. Excuse me. And it used to be that you could go and you could look them up on, on the BACB website, right? And just to make sure that they were certified. But then we saw, when insurance came online, we saw that a lot of people who were BCBAs in other fields, nothing wrong with them being BCBAs in other fields, right? But then they switched and came over to be BCBAs in autism without any experience working with an individual with autism.
Right.
And one of the things that we were telling people is it is acceptable to ask your BCBA, what is your experience with autism? What is your experience working with children like my child who is experiencing pica, or my child who has sleep issues or whatever? It's okay to ask that. It's sort of like when if you're taking your Maserati into, you're going to ask the mechanic, do you have experience working with, we would do that with our car, wouldn't we certainly do that with our child? Do you have experience working with this? So I always love it when there's a shortcut, and when you see somebody has those initials after their name, then you have an understanding that not only are they a BCBA, but they have taken the time to be certified in child-specific, individualized ABA, and that they know about, not just about ABA, but about how ABA is used for autism. Am I on the right track here?
That's absolutely correct. And then just to even go a little bit above that, often in the field in receiving your BCBA, it's just that exam. So all you have to know is really knowledge to get your certification, which is great. So we still have that exam, that knowledge piece, but not only can I have that knowledge base, but I can also implement, I can do. So when you see these letters behind somebody's name, you'll know that not only can they pass a test of the knowledge of, applied behavior analysis and autism and progressive ABA, but they can also do, which I think is just critical. You want a really great supervisor for your child. You want an interventionist that is highly skilled as well. And you'll have that kind of metric if you see these letters.
This is so important, you guys. I'm saying hi to Michelle. This is so, so important because my son had therapy before there was insurance, and we used to have a clinic every 2 weeks where we would sit down in a room. My husband and I both had to be there. It was required. He had to make sure that he had off from work. I had to make sure I was off from work. A 2-hour clinic every 2 weeks, and we would sit in a room face to face with our supervisor and with all of the therapists who were on my son's team. And they would go through each one of his programs, and the supervisor would say, okay, now let's work this program. And then she would make little tweaks and changes, and she would show us and the other behavior technicians, what she was doing, and we all learned from her. And I keep hearing, now with insurance, there's no such thing as a clinic anymore. And I keep hearing about, I say to people, well, ask they told us to do this, we don't know how to do it. Go back, talk to your BCBA and have them demonstrate it to you. And they'll say, no, our BCBA doesn't do that. And I go, what has happened to this field? So I'm glad that you guys are on it and saying this isn't right. Because I could talk about it till the cows come home, but you guys are doing something about it. So amazing.
Thank you.
If we're going to do intervention, we want it to be good, effective, child-specific, individual-specific. Come on.
100%. Otherwise, it can end up being a waste of time otherwise. If
Absolutely.
It's not quality, and if a child's not making progress and actually learning very quickly in a fun and exciting and compassionate way, and, making that accelerated progress, then you're just wasting time, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I want to say it's up to us too as parents to be watchdogs for what's happening. I had really good quality ABA, but every once in a while somebody would come in who was going to phone it in, which is what I think you're doing if you're not doing progressive ABA, by the way. But I remember I always tell this story, there was a very specific lesson that they were teaching my son. They asked us, we're going to teach him boy and girl, and then we're going to move on to adult. Do you want us to do woman or lady and man? And I said, I would like for you to do lady first and then woman. This is how interactive my ABA was. So they came in, they taught boy and girl. He mastered it like in one session. Of course, it was more than one session for him to master it. But anyway, he had gotten it, and they had decided to move on to the lady and man. But a therapist came in who this is back in the day when we had a book, not an iPad, didn't really read the notes from the last therapist because they're phoning it in, right? And he sat down to do a lesson with my son, and I always had a baby monitor in the other room and heard everything and saw everything. And he said, went through a couple of lessons, and then he said, is dad a boy or a girl? And my son said, dad is a man. And the behavior technician said, nope, try again.
Oh, no.
And I yelled, that's when somebody is not following, you're following a piece of paper and not what's happening. And I yelled from the other room, and I said, no, dad's a man. Don't tell him he's wrong when he's right. Don't you do that. and I got in a little bit of trouble for interrupting the session.
Back to jargon of the day. That's like an excellent example of not progressive ABA. And then progressive ABA would be using your judgment to accept that answer in the moment.
Yeah. But I'm saying, parents have to be watchful and mindful. And yes, because they have to be, sometimes your kid jumps 3 lessons ahead. Go with them. Yes. Okay. So you guys have this amazing conference coming up on the 21st. I think we have a poster to show and put on the screen. I was talking about 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧 before, but I need you to talk about, there's some amazing experts that are going to be there. And I'm on the parent panel. And
Yes.
I'm wowed about being on the parent panel.
It's a
So
wonderful parent panel. The keynote, like you said, is 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗪. We have a business panel with Van Jones from CNN as the moderator and the CEO of Uber and CEO of Carbon Health on that panel. We have an autistic perspectives panel, which we're very excited about. We have a concerns panel, who you were also just talking about him. I heard you while we were backstage, but Stephen Shore is on that panel as well. And then we have some really big huge names in the field of behavior analysis that are also presenting. That's Pat Fryman. We have Bill Heward. We have our own Dr. Justin Leaf as well. And so we're really excited about our conference, which is Friday, April 21st. And we both have in-person and live stream options. So if you're not local to the Long Beach or LA area, we have live stream options and everybody can attend. So we're really excited.
really amazing. And if you have loved everything that Julia has talked about, which I do, and you're like, oh, I want more, I want you guys to head over to autismpartnershipfoundation.org, correct?
Yes.
And check out the things, but know that Justin Leaf, who you just mentioned, is going to be hosting a takeover hour during our podcast-a-thon, and he'll be talking about this and more of this stuff. The first time that I saw Justin Leaf speak, I went, okay, I want to be where this guy is because he gets it. He sees the things that I see and he's dealing with them. And I went up to him, you know, after he walked off the stage and I was like, you and I, we need to be partners. We need in crime, you know, not partners, but, you know, partners in crime. I want to do what you're doing. I want you on my show. And every time I hear him speak, I go, oh yeah, point to that, you guys, he's got it right. So love that he's going to be a part of our podcast-a-thon, and love that he is amassing this group of professionals like you, Julia, who are getting it right. And not only that, disseminating it, because even though you're young and you're going to live a long time and you're going to help a lot of people, the people that you disseminate it to are going to help that many more people. So it's brilliant. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we thank you for being with us, and we look forward to having Justin on in just under 3 weeks for the podcast-a-thon. 3 weeks.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to be here.
I'm glad that it all worked out and that we got your sound. You have a
Me too.
wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye.